The Tragic Life of Karen Carpenter. Karen Carpenter, one of the greatest voices in music history, touched millions of hearts with her deeply emotional melodies. But behind the dazzling spotlight, behind the timeless hits, lay a harsh reality. A girl who never felt enough. Not thin enough, not good enough, not loved enough. How could someone who had it all lose herself? What led to the gradual downfall of this symbol of purity? And what is the truth behind her shocking death at the age of 32? Please like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos. Karen Carpenter was born on March 2, 1950, in New Haven, Connecticut, 4 years after her brother Richard. Their parents, Agnes Ruhr and Harold Bertram Carpenter, had a distant and unemotional relationship not just with each other but also with their children. Agnes made no secret of her favoritism toward Richard, leaving Karen well aware of where she stood in the family. Despite the cold household dynamics, music was everywhere. Their father had an impressive record collection spanning rock, pop, soul, jazz, and even classical music. He made sure both children learned to play instruments. But it was Richard who showed early promise. He mastered the accordion before shifting his focus to the piano, his talent undeniable. Karen, on the other hand, was more of a listener at first, drawn to the sounds of old records. It wasn't until her teenage years that she discovered her own passion for music, both in playing and singing. Wherever Richard went, Karen followed. Their bond was close, though not without its sibling clashes. Karen had a competitive streak, especially when it came to baseball. She loved playing with the neighborhood kids and was often picked for teams before Richard, which didn't sit well with him. Their mother, always protective of Richard, scolded Karen whenever she ruffled his feathers. Looking back, it's not hard to see how these family dynamics would shape Karen's life in ways no one could have predicted. By the time Richard was 16, his piano skills were undeniable. Their parents were convinced he was destined for a professional music career and were willing to do whatever it took to make that happen. In 1963, they uprooted the family from Connecticut to Southern California, the heart of the music industry. Karen, reluctant to leave her friends behind, had little say in the matter. Her parents' focus was clear. Richard's success came first. If you think Karen's talent was just as extraordinary as Richard's, comment wow. Once in California, Richard wasted no time diving into the local music scene. He played in clubs, often skirting the fact that he was underage. Karen, meanwhile, had no grand musical ambitions. She joined the school band simply to avoid gym class. But that decision would change everything. Behind the drum kit, she discovered a natural rhythm and a deep love for playing. In 1965, Richard formed the Richard Carpenter Trio, bringing in Karen on drums and their school friend Wes Jacobs on bass. Karen wanted her name in the band's title, but despite her protests, Richard refused. The trio built a reputation performing covers of popular songs, along with a few originals written by Richard. Their big break came in 1966, when they won a prestigious California band contest, landing a contract with RCA Records. But the timing wasn't right. Their soft jazz-influenced sound clashed with the rock-dominated era, and RCA quickly dropped them. Just like that, the trio dissolved, leaving Richard and Karen searching for their next move. Determined to find the right formula for success, Richard formed a new group called Spectrum, shifting their style to incorporate rich vocal harmonies. But despite their efforts, Spectrum failed to gain traction. However, the experience wasn't wasted. It helped the siblings refine their sound. During this time, Richard had a revelation. Karen wasn't just a skilled drummer. She had a voice unlike any other, smooth, warm, and effortlessly pure. He knew that making her the lead vocalist could be their breakthrough. In early 1969, fate intervened. A friend passed along a demo tape of the siblings' music to A&M Records, catching the attention of legendary trumpeter and label co-founder Herb Alpert. The moment he heard Karen's voice, he was hooked. Without hesitation, he offered them a contract. Karen, still only 19, needed her parents to co-sign. On October 9, 1969, the Carpenters released their debut album, Offering. Richard still handled most of the vocals, but that would soon change. The album failed to make an impact, and A&M executives pressured Alpert to drop them. But Alpert, trusting his instincts, refused to give up on the duo. He suggested they record "They Long to Be Close to You" a song that had been attempted by artists like Dionne Warwick, Dusty Springfield, and even Alpert himself, none of whom had found success with it. Skeptical but willing to take a chance, the siblings recorded the track, with Karen's voice taking center stage. Released on May 14, 1970, the song's success was nothing short of explosive. In just 6 months, it sold over 3 million copies, far exceeding expectations. Then, on July 25, 1970, Close to You soared to number 1. 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, cementing the Carpenters as a musical force and marking the beginning of a legendary career. By the end of 1970, Richard stumbled upon a wedding-themed TV commercial with a melody that instantly captivated him. Inspired by those few notes, he expanded the tune into a full song, We've Only Just Begun. The Carpenters released it on August 21, 1970, just 3 months after their first number 1 hit, and the response was immediate. The song soared to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, held back only by Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. It went on to sell over 1 million copies and earned the Carpenters 2 Grammy Awards in 1971. In just 1 year, with only 2 major hits, the Carpenters had skyrocketed to worldwide fame and millionaire status. Both songs were included in their second album, Close to You, released in late August 1970, which quickly became a bestseller. The momentum didn't stop there. In November 1970, Richard went to see the film Lovers and Other Strangers. During one scene, a song played that immediately caught his attention. He knew instinctively that if the Carpenters recorded it in their signature style, it could be their next big hit, and he was right. Before the year was over, Karen recorded For All We Know, which was released on January 15, 1971. Once again, success followed. The song reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sold millions. The hits kept coming. On April 23rd, they released Rainy Days and Mondays, another smash that climbed to number 2 on the charts. Not long after, Superstar followed, also reaching the 2nd spot. These songs became part of their third album, Carpenters, released on May 14, 1971, a record that not only continued their chart dominance, but also marked the debut of their now iconic Carpenters logo. Although Karen was the undeniable star of the Carpenters, she spent most of their live performances behind the drum kit, while Richard and the other musicians took center stage. But by early 1971, criticism began to mount. Audiences and critics alike questioned why the lead singer remained in the background. Reluctantly, Richard agreed to step aside. And from that point on, Karen took her rightful place at the front of the stage for every show, not just for a song or two. The shift was undeniable. Karen's presence and voice captivated audiences, and she quickly overshadowed Richard. Leave a comment with the number 1 if you believe she deserves so much more love and happiness. On June 19, 1972, the Carpenters dropped Goodbye to Love, a game-changer that hit number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. Richard's gutsy move, a fuzz guitar solo in soft pop, birthed the power ballad, making it a trailblazer. From their 4th album, A Song for You, it joined smash singles like Hurting Each Other, number 2, It's Going to Take Some Time, number 12, and the chart-topping Top of the World. Their fame soared beyond music. On August 1, 1972, they met President Nixon at the White House, cementing their all-American image. But cracks were forming. Richard, crushed by pressure, leaned on Quaaludes, sliding into addiction. Karen, stung by a journalist's weight jab, fixated on her body, spiraling into a dangerous obsession. Still, Richard squeezed every ounce from Karen's voice. Their May 1, 1973 album Now and Then delivered Sing, number 3, and the iconic Yesterday Once More, number 2, locking in their reign. But trouble loomed. By 1974, Karen's weight plummeted to 99 pounds. She guzzled laxatives, hid food, and withered away. Known for her grit, she'd shoved Richard into rehab, but brushed off her own anorexia as stress, cloaking her frail frame in layers. Even as she faded, the hits rolled on. Their 6th album, Horizon, dropped June 6, 1975, with Please Mr. Postman topping the Hot 100 and Only Yesterday hitting number 4, proving their magic endured, barely. In early 1975, Karen's skeletal frame fueled cancer rumors, but the reality was darker. She was abusing ipecac syrup to force vomiting, plunging her health deeper into chaos. Her family, blind or unwilling, ignored the glaring red flags. By 1975, the Carpenters' golden streak dimmed. Their seventh album, A Kind of Hush, dropped June 11th, 1976, with gems like There's a Kind of Hush and I Need to Be in Love, but it couldn't rival past triumphs. Still, with 150 million records sold, their legacy and Karen's angelic voice stood untouchable. In 1979, Richard faced his addiction and entered treatment, leaving Karen to chase a solo dream. She cut 12 bold tracks, trading the Carpenters' mellow vibe for disco and fresh beats, stretching her voice into thrilling new territory. She loved it. Richard's response? Stone cold. Label execs agreed, trashing the album as a wrong turn, crushing Karen's spirit. They boxed her in, rejecting her vision, despite Quincy Jones championing its potential. Some whispered Richard couldn't handle her shining alone. The album stayed buried until 1996, 13 years after her death, when Richard relented. By then, it was a bittersweet echo of lost promise. Comment legend if you think Karen's voice was truly one of a kind, despite her family's focus on Richard. When it came to love, Karen Carpenter never seemed to catch a break. Over the years, she dated several high-profile men, including Mike Curb, Tony Danza, Terry Ellis, Mark Harmon, Steve Martin, and Alan Osmond. In public, she often downplayed the idea of marriage, saying her career and demanding lifestyle left little room for a husband. But in private, she confided in her close friend Olivia Newton-John that she longed for a family, a home filled with love, children, and the kind of happiness she never truly had. Sadly, that dream would remain just that, a dream. Then, in the late 1970s, Karen met Thomas James Burris, a real estate broker 9 years her senior. He approached her at a restaurant, charming her with his polished, sophisticated demeanor. What she didn't know was that Burris was a fraud, financially ruined and desperate for a way out of his troubles. Karen, vulnerable from years of loneliness and a deep longing for love, fell into his trap. Burris had already abandoned his wife when he began pursuing Karen, and within months he proposed. Hoping she had finally found the love she craved, she said yes. The wedding was set for August 31st, 1980, at the glamorous Crystal Room of the Beverly Hills Hotel. Karen, then 30, believed this was her long-awaited chance to build the home and family she always wanted. But just days before the wedding, Burris dropped a bombshell. He had undergone a vasectomy and could never have children. Devastated, Karen wanted to call everything off. But when she turned to her mother for support, she was met with cold indifference. Agnes Carpenter refused to let her daughter cancel, insisting it was too late. Guests had already received invitations and family members had bought plane tickets. Karen, desperate for her mother's approval and paralyzed by years of emotional conditioning, felt she had no choice. She went through with the wedding, unknowingly binding herself to a man who would become her worst nightmare. What followed was nothing short of a tragedy. Burris quickly drained Karen's bank accounts, recklessly spending her hard-earned fortune on luxuries and indulgences. Worse, he subjected her to relentless mental and physical abuse, breaking her spirit piece by piece. Many believe his cruelty played a significant role in Karen's decline, as he constantly berated and belittled her, feeding her insecurities. Her once promising future crumbled into misery, and within a year of marriage she made the painful decision to file for divorce. But by then, the damage had already been done. Karen, already rail-thin, pushed her weight to perilous lows with shocking tactics, swallowing up to 90 laxatives a night and popping thyroid pills despite a healthy thyroid. Her friends watched in horror, helpless while her parents dismissed it as a private issue, refusing to face the crisis. In 1981, defying her family, Karen sought help from eating disorder expert Stephen Levenkron in New York, desperate to heal. Months into therapy, Levenkron saw the dire truth and summoned her family, urging them to show love. Richard and her father complied, but Agnes, whose approval Karen craved, froze, snapping at the doctor instead. It was a gut-wrenching blow, exposing Karen's endless fight for acceptance. By September 1982, Karen landed in Lenox Hill Hospital, hooked to IV nutrition. She gained weight fast, but her starved heart buckled under the strain. Worn out, she couldn't keep fighting. Her final performance came December 17, 1982 at Buckley School, a humble stage for a fading star. Weeks later, on February 1st, 1983, she shared tour dreams with Richard in their last talk. On February 3rd, she saw her parents to settle her divorce from Thomas Burris. That same day, her battle ended. Leave a star emoji if you still listen to the Carpenters' songs today. But the next morning, February 4th, 1983, tragedy struck. Agnes Carpenter walked into Karen's room and found her collapsed on the floor, lifeless. She was just 32 years old. Karen had unknowingly been poisoning herself for years. She had become addicted to ipecac syrup, a substance meant to induce vomiting. But what she didn't realize was that in large doses, it had a deadly side effect. It gradually ate away at the muscles of her heart. After years of relentless dieting, self-inflicted damage, and emotional turmoil, her heart simply couldn't take it anymore. Even in death, the truth about Karen's struggles remained obscured. In 1989, 6 years after she passed, CBS produced a biographical film about her life. However, Richard and Agnes insisted on removing any scenes that depicted Karen's desperate need for her mother's affection and the deeper dysfunction within their family. The result was a sanitized version of her story, rewritten to protect the image of those left behind. It was a beautiful moment, but it never happened. In reality, Karen never got to hear those words from the one person she had longed to hear them from the most. Comment forever if you believe Karen Carpenter's music will never fade away. Though her life was a series of hidden sorrows, Karen's voice continues to touch the hearts of millions. She was not only an icon of soft rock, but also a painful reminder of the invisible pressures that can crush a sensitive soul. Thank you for watching our channel. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you next time, and have a great day.